Hi friends, I'm Tasha, and today I want to talk about maintaining your hair during the pandemic. So I know this is a really big issue for a lot of men and women where they want to make sure that they're maintaining their hair. They want to make sure that they're keeping their hair healthy during this time because we are really in hard times right now. So one thing that I like to point out is to say get a silk or satin scarf. So the silk and satin scarf retains the moisture. So if you're not using those type of scarves, then your hair is drying out. So if you're just going straight to the pillowcase, and the pillowcase is a cotton pillowcase, so it's going to absorb the moisture in your hair. So that over time creates breakage and damage to your hair. So you want to make sure that you kind of fill the void on that little minor tip. Something that seems so minor can cause a lot of damage to your hair. So you want to make sure that you are gonna go purchase a silk scarf, or you're going to utilize the silk scarf that you already have that you have not used. So go ahead and make sure that you use that. There are benefits of using it, although you might feel like, it doesn't matter if I go tonight without using my silk scarf. But just go ahead and create good habits. Create a good habit of using your scarf. I know sometimes it fall off in the middle of the night. That happens to me too sometimes. So you want to make sure that you are purchasing a scarf that fit your needs. So for me, I went out and I purchased this scarf here. This is the first time that I've used this. So it's a satin scarf, and I just put it over my hair, and then it ties around to the front. So of course I'm going to wrap my hair underneath. I'm gonna wrap it around before I put this on. But this is what's going to lock in the moisture on my hair to make sure that over time my hair doesn't become damaged. So when you are making sure that you're locking in your moisture, choose a satin or silk cloth that fits your needs as far as making sure that it stays on at night, because there's several kinds that you can get. Okay, so the next thing is making sure that you clip your split ends. And a lot of people may not be that comfortable with clipping their split ends. I'll show you what I normally do to clip my split ends. So because my hair is a little layered, I like to cut mine in layers. So I'm gonna just take a section of my hair, and you want to make sure that you start with your wide tooth comb. When you use your wide tooth comb, start from the end of the hair, work your way up to the root. I know a lot of people just go right in and get to the root. When they start experiencing that resistance, they just, what we do, we yank it. So you don't want to do that because that can cause breakage to the hair. So then I go in with a smaller tooth comb. I'm going to drop some of this down. So I go in with a smaller tooth comb, and any hair that you can see through from the root throughout the shaft, then that's those are split ends. So I know we like to hold on to it, but it's just best to go ahead and get it off. Your hair grows 1/2 inch a month, so if you feel more comfortable by clipping off a 1/2 inch of your ends every month until it grows back, then I can understand that too. So I normally clip mine like this, and then just clip this way. Just get rid of that. So I needed to clip my ends anyway, so that's okay that I cut that. Another thing that you can do also is to grab a section of your hair. Remember to get your wide tooth comb, start from the ends, work your way to the root, and you can start to twirl your hair. Twirl it, twist it, and anything that comes out of it, those are your split ends. Okay, so if you guys can see that, which I can, you see those ends that are coming up? Well, those are my split ends. So you can try this at home, try it for yourself. I'm not gonna attempt to cut that because I don't want to cut the whole thing off. But you get it, so you can try whichever one that fits you. If you don't want the layers in your hair, just hold your hair straight out and then just cut straight across. But if you don't want that blunt cut, then you don't want to do that either. You want to elevate it a little bit, and instead of cutting like straight across, you're creating that blunt cut. You just want to angle your scissors. Angle them this way. So it can be a little more to the hair, It's just not a flat, blunt cut, unless that's what you choose. So the next thing I want to talk about is some of us wear the protective styles to make sure that we are maintaining our hair with the protective styles. And that's okay that if you choose to do that. So some of us like to wear sew-ins. Some of us like to wear braids. So my warning to the sew-ins and the braids is to make sure that you're only keeping the hair in to the amount of time that your stylist has suggested. So if your stylist said, okay, you can take this sew-in out in 2 months, you don't want to leave the sew-in in for 6 and 7 months, because that's way past what your stylist has recommended, and your hair becomes matted and tangled. So some people, and this has happened to one of my clients in the past, that they've actually had to cut some of their hair because it was so matted that, you know, she became frustrated. She had to cut some of it off. So I know we like to extend these styles out, but you have to remember that while our hair is braided and protected underneath, there's still normal shedding that your hair does. And normally that's like 75 to 100 strands a day that your hair is shedding. So if your hair is in braids or sew-in, then that's hair that's still gonna shed. It's just trapped in there, and then when you take all of that out, you'll notice that you have a big ball of hair, because that's your normal hair. So don't be afraid when you see that your hair isn't coming out unless it was too tight. And that's gonna bring me into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is traction alopecia. Traction alopecia is when you experience hair loss because the hair is too tight. So when your hairstylist is you know, doing your braids or doing your sew-in, and then you notice that it feels kind of tight, well, it'll be a good idea for you to mention it, like, hey, I'm getting a headache, or this feels too tight. Because what happens is you're pulling at your scalp, and over time, it's creating hair loss. So that's traction alopecia, and when that happens, it takes a while for that to grow back, if it grows back. Because for some people, they're getting braids after braids or sew-in after sew-in, and they're not giving their hair and scalp time to breathe, time to rest. And that's really important that you do that, because you are creating a pattern, a negative pattern that's going to lead to hair loss. You don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that you are not getting sew-ins and braids that are really pulling your scalp and pulling your hair, because it's going to lead to hair loss. When that happens, we just use the next thing. Some of us, we use the next thing to cover that up. So then we put on the wigs, and some of us wear the lace fronts. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. You want to wear wigs and lace front, but you still have to do those things in moderation, because when you put on your wigs, you want to make sure that you're constantly rebraiding your hair, making sure that it's not too tight. Because if you just let those wigs sit on your hairline, it's still gonna create that hair loss, because it's just sitting there suppressing your hair. So you want to make sure that you are taking those out regularly. Sometimes if you want to take your braids out once a week, shampoo your hair, condition your hair, rebraid it, put your wig back on, then that's okay to do that. But you don't want to, you want to make sure that you're not braiding your hair excessively tight to make sure that things stay in place or work out, because it's going to lead to damage. And you don't want to create that trauma for your hair and for your scalp, because that's what traction alopecia is, and that's what it does. And as Black women, that's one of the common things that we experience when we are trying to create the perfect hairstyle. So you want to make sure that you are protecting your hair underneath your styles, underneath your lace fronts. Excuse me, I'm really not a fan of lace fronts because of the damage that it does, and it's okay that you are. I don't discourage you from doing it. What I would suggest is that you make sure that whatever product your stylist is using, the glue that's being used, and if there's another modern way that stylists are using the lace fronts, then that's great, that's excellent. So you want to make sure that your number one concern is that you're taking care of your hair underneath, so when you take your lace front off, you don't have to be embarrassed by what's underneath there. So you want to make sure you keep that at the forefront of your mind, at the forefront of the styles that you get, is that you want to maintain a good head of hair when it's done and over with. So those are some things that I would like to offer you as tips. It's just to make sure that you are doing your deep conditions, you are doing your 6-in-1s when your hair is damaged, when your hair is limped, when your hair is spongy, when it's wet. You want to make sure that you are doing those deep conditions. You want to make sure that you are keeping on those silk scarves. You want to make sure that you are not sleeping on those cotton pillowcases that's absorbing all the moisture in your hair. You want to make sure that you practice good, healthy hair tips. So I'm going to end the video, but if you all would like have some questions about healthy hair tips or something that you want to mention about hair loss, and there are many great products out there to help with hair loss. And one of the things that I used when I was practicing in a salon was minoxidil. Minoxidil is an ingredient that I know it's found in Rogaine for women, and I'm sure Rogaine for men as well, but minoxidil is an ingredient that is used on the hair that promotes hair growth. So you want to check into that. And I know some people have used the hair vitamins, some people use oils. So if that's something that you want to do and it's worked for you, continue using that. Continue doing that in addition to your silk scarf, using your conditioners and making sure that you really take care of your hair. So I'm going to end my video, but thank you guys for watching. I hope this video was very informative to you, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.